I'm Meg, and today's short clip is about two dolls and auntie you. Two dolls I have here. We're speaking about the time around the Second World War when these dolls were made. They're looking a little bit roughly, and they are homemade from a mom using all old stuff she could find in the house to make some dolls, for example, for Christmas. Um, yeah, these were very poor times because most of the families were separated. The men were at the front line, and the women and the mothers had to stay at home, and they had to work in ammunition factories, the home front. And what to do in Christmas when you can't go to simply to go to a shop and to buy something because nothing is there. Then you have to look for what's going on around, and what you maybe can upcycle and recycle and reuse from your own stuff you have. For example, some stockings. These hats and those stockings that were widely used, and then when they could not be repaired, then they could be made up for dolls. And all bits and pieces of fabric and some painted faces, because the moms even had difficulties to get candies for Christmas. They had even difficulties to get enough food on the table, because most of the food there were stamps given out where you could get a minimum of your daily food in the shops if it was available, so that nobody would be able to hoard food others would need. So, and auntie you is this. This was made by mostly a dad or somebody who came back from war, a father who's coming back from war, and he made also a toy for mostly a boy to play with, and even to also to have what's going on around in his world. He could play, so he could work it out for him or herself to to not to struggle too much with the situation around. So it was their daily situation to be in war, and so they played also a lot of war. And as I said, the dads that are coming back from the front, they were mostly injured, and they had to get they could not fight in war anymore. So even the families had to provide food and so on for them too. And as I said, they made these little toys. It's not just Tante Ju. It's a famous plane from Germany. Tante Ju is the type of the model is for. And the funny thing is that these models are very correctly made, but just with stuff that was laying around. Maybe this dad who made this one was on this ship in war before he was wounded. And you see everything is used from, I don't know, cigar cases to old boards, whatever, and a little bit of paint, and then everything is fine. So, yeah. And here I have another one from that period. And you see a lot of stuff that this is not commercially made. It's just made by a family member to simply to have toys for the kids. These toys were also made in the UK, and they were also made in France, for example. Everywhere where the war was, there's nearly the same background. And in UK it was that even they were small leaflets existing, where the government tried to provide the home front with fresh ideas how the mothers that were at the home front could do some simple things to make toys for their kids for Christmas. So this was really a thing. Yeah, I hope you learned something today, and I hope in our world where everybody's just buying something and just trashing, putting things again in the trash bin, maybe you can ask your parents if they have something they don't need anymore, and you can get some tools and you can try to make something yourself from old stuff. So you see how beautiful things, how artistry the parents worked for their kids and in the old times, in the war times, but maybe we have better things now, but you can try it and you can learn something from it. I can tell you a story from my own childhood where my uncle had a saw in his hands, and I still see him just doing something, and whatever, and sawing something, and until the pattern of a Kalashnikov came out of an old board, and my dad saw this, and he was much angry about my own uncle, and so he took the next board with a hand saw, not with a machine saw, with a hand saw. We had no machine saws in that day, in the 80s, in the GDR, not for this stuff. So he that I can play with my uncle, he saw me and made me in a very fast term a pistol, just from an old board, not even painted or whatever, but this was so cool. When I saw these, my uncle, he was still really young. He was in his 20s or so, and my dad was jumping out and no, taking a saw and making me a pistol. So maybe you can ask your parents if they like this idea, and maybe you will find a new thing for the next weekend to play with. And yeah, bye.